Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I do want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakdash, the born to the apostles, and El Great Millstone, for teaching us His true peace and blessings to the whole of Israel. Yahweh is the name of the Father named Shibu, Ba'ashem is the name, and Yahweh Shai is the name of the begotten Son. Back in our lesson, as he was entitled, Jake would rather be destroyed. As you can see right here, dealing with this comedian, Jake doing stand-up, joking about wanting to be hit, directly, by a thermonuclear missile. But making that point that he'd rather, die, quick, just, get it over with. And this is what Jake would rather, imagine and hope for than to be delivered, to be redeemed, to be saved from this coming destruction. So just going to show how destroyed, how simple, Jake is, how unfaithful, the wicked of our people are. That this is the conclusion that they'd rather come to, is to be destroyed, quickly than, to be delivered, to be saved, from this destruction. But hey, it ain't gonna be swift, it ain't gonna be easy, as in the scripture, death by pain. Which you in 2nd Ezra. And also I'm gonna close it out with Zechariah 14, which goes into that painful death and that destruction that's gonna come from these thermonuclear missiles. People are literally gonna be, their flesh is gonna be burnt away. Their eyes, their tongues consumed away in their holes, which I'm gonna get all that. But I came across the video, without to make a lesson, going to that point. Jake would rather be destroyed than be saved. Showing how simple, how stupid the truth of people are. But
if they drop a nuclear bomb, I want them to drop it directly on my head. Fuck the dumb shit. I want to be vaporized. Right? Don't you want to be, if it's to happen, right? Don't you pray?
Which it will. You will have a thermonuclear war take place. So it will happen, and it will happen in our lifetime. So El Pastor's lesson. Didn't get to watch it, but I saw his title. Title said, World War III will happen in our lifetime, and it will. And we are seeing the various signs of it.
Oh my God, there's a bomb. Let's take shelter. Fuck that. Where is it? Where is it? I've got to get this shit over with.
And you see just how serious, Jake, takes these, type of situations. When I say Jake, for those who don't know, speaking of Jacob, speaking of the Israelites. But this portion is going to show just how serious Jake takes these things. They don't. They have to make a joke out of everything. They don't take anything serious.
Right? You want to be vaporized because you don't want to be the...
Well, no, I'd rather be saved. I'd rather be delivered. That's the hope, to be saved from this coming destruction. The Lord pulling us out of this place. As in the scripture, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins. This is why we're working out our own salvation with fear and trembling. That's why we're making diligence to make our calling election sure. I'd rather be delivered. I'd rather be saved. But Jake comes to the conclusion, imagines...
that almost died.
Okay.
In a nuclear blast. You don't want to be that brother. Glowing in the dark. Walking around with an extra head. Getting charged double at the club. Brother, it's two of y'all. What you mean I gotta... What you mean I pay $2 because I got an extra head? Yeah, because you got an extra head. If they drop...
Dude, these comments I just say. People are laughing. Not knowing this is actually getting ready to unfold. But let's continue scripts at hand is Isaiah 30, 9 through 13, and I got the NLT version. And it says that these people are stubborn rebels who refuse to pay attention to the Lord's instructions. All Jake's worried about is partying, so-called living up, having a good time, before destruction takes place. Because you'll tell Jake these things, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. YOLO, you only live once, this and that. Jake do not care for this truth, man. And it says, they tell the seers, stop seeing visions. They tell the prophets, don't tell us what is right. Tell us nice things. Tell us lies. Jake'd rather be told lies, deceits. Let's see, forget all this gloom, get off your narrow path, stop telling us about your Holy One of Israel. This is a reply of the Holy One of Israel, because you despise what I tell you and trust instead in oppression and lies, calamity will come upon you. Suddenly, like a bulging wall that bursts and falls in an instant, it will all collapse. It will collapse and come crashing down. Let's get the Good News translation. It's one of my favorites right here. Now it says, they are always rebelling against the Most High, always lying, always refusing to listen to the Lord's teachings. Now it says, they tell the prophets to keep quiet. They say, don't talk to us about what's right. Tell us what we want to hear. Let us keep our illusions. Jake rather live in their illusions, this false reality that everything's okay, everything's all fine and dandy. Well, the Lord's getting ready to destroy this place. Now it says, if they don't talk about us what's right, tell us what we want to hear. Let's keep our illusions. Get out of our way and stop blocking our path. We don't want to hear about your holy God of Israel. But then when things are hitting the fan, when things are going down, then Jake's going to want to seek the Lord. Nah, that's not how this works. See, Jake only wants to seek Yahweh B'Shem Shah when it benefits them. Wait, the Lord is not going to pick up your call because you rejected his multiple times. Now it says, but this is what the holy God of Israel says. You ignore what I tell you and rely on violence and deceit. You are guilty. You are high like a wall with a crack running down it. Suddenly you will collapse. A couple more scriptures, Matthew 24:37-39. Because we're also as in the days of Noah. And especially it's going to show the type of times that we are in. But it says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. So they went on about the days, so-called living up, even after receiving these warnings. They could not care any less. That's why they would continue to party. That's why they continue to live it up. And you see, many of our people are continuing to walk in that same spirit. You'll tell Jake this place is about to be destroyed. Things are about to go down. What does Jake do? They mock, they scoff, they don't take heed, they give the shrug of the shoulder, and then go on about their day. As we're reading right here, for as the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, giving marriage until the day that Noah entered. So they could not care any less as to what was getting ready to take place. Really, they didn't believe it was going to happen anyway. That's why they were doing what they did. But as we read here, verse 39, and knew not, and until the flood came and took them all away. So you're going to be so-called blindsided, but not really, because you received the warnings. You were told. This is why you get in scripture how Allah always comes as a thief in the night, unexpected to those that are not watching, those that are not paying attention, those that are not preparing for Lord Yahweh Shah's return, to be unexpected unto you. But and you not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. You can imagine what they're doing back then, banging on the ark, begging to get on. I was just joking, don't we go way back? All sorts of stuff. But, Jake's do the same thing today. Banging on the door to the spiritual ark, begging to get on. Trying to seek out this truth, this knowledge, this wisdom in these last days. But it's going to be far too late for all that. Because as the Lord shut the door to the ark back then, He's do the same thing today with the spiritual one. This is Proverbs 1. Start with verse 22. But how long you simple with love simplicity and scorn is delight, and your scorning and fools hate knowledge. See, a lot of people hate this truth. Jake won't know part of it, especially when it comes to the do's and not the do's. Things that we can and cannot eat. There are things that we, can't participate in, dealing with these pagan, wicked holidays. I don't know about that, man. See, Jake just wants any excuse to party, to live it up. You tell Jake, what you're actually partaking in, what you're celebrating, dealing with these pagan holidays, dealing with the worshiping of false gods and all these various things. I'm not doing it for that, man. I'm doing it for my kids, this and that. Well, guess what? You're going to get you and your kids destroyed. See, Jake has no fear of the Lord whatsoever. But the turning of my proof, behold, I pour out my spirit unto you. I make known my words unto you, because I have called and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. See, many of the people are smacking away that hand. But you have sat not on my counsel and wouldn't on my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. The Lord and laugh at you. So you had Jake, laughing in in that crowd. Jake laughing about wanting to be destroyed, wanting to be hit by a thermonuclear missile. Why, Lord, and laugh at you in that day? Because soon these tears of joy, these tears of laughter will be turned to tears of sorrow. So I also laugh at your calamity. I'll mock when your fear comes. So we'll see how funny that joke is when it does happen. While you see the elect being beamed up, being delivered from this coming destruction, and you, being hit by a missile as you wanted. I wanted to hit directly on my head. This is the problem with Jake. Just show you how hard-headed they are. This is what's the conclusion. What their imagination turns to. What their hope is for. Man, if nuclear war does happen, I'd rather be hit in the head. I'd be destroyed instantly. See, this is what Jake would rather have happen to them than be delivered, than be saved from it. Jake is through. But verse 27, when your fear comes as desolation and destruction comes as whirlwind, when distress and anguish comes upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. Seek me early, but they shall not find me. So, there you go. Jake's going to try to seek the Lord in these last days, but it's be far too late. Because Jake only wants to seek the Lord when things are going down, when it benefits them. But if they hate knowledge and not choose to fear the Lord, now I might as well read verse 31. They went on my counsel, they despised my reproof. Therefore, they should eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their devices, So it's going to be your own fault. So Jeremiah 4:22 says, for my people is foolish, they have not known me. They are a sottish children. They have none understanding. So Jake's hard-headed. So they are wise who do evil, but you do good. They have no knowledge. Going to show how through the wicked of our people are. Hosea 4:6, for my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because I was rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou should be no priest in me, seeing thou hast forgotten of thy power. I will also forget thy children. So, which in further establishing that points how hard-headed Jake is. Just destroyed. Ezekiel 12:2 says, son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house. And this further shows how blessed we are to be called, back to the Lord, to be called to this truth. To have these eyes that can see and the ears to hear. And while you have the wicked of our people who are unable to grasp and understand these things. But Zechariah 13:8, and it says, it shall come to pass that in all the land say the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. So very soon you have 2/3, of our people, the wicked of our people, are going to be cut off and be destroyed on this side. They got to go. So that Jake that wants to be destroyed quickly, or wants to be hit by a thermonuclear missile, you're going to get what's coming to you. You're going to get what you're asking for. Zechariah 14:12, and guess what? This judgment ain't going to be played with. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh by Shemel shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away, and their sight shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And various scriptures go into that fervent heat, 2 Peter 3:10. Isaiah 9:5 going to tell us wars be by way of fuel and flame of fire. So we're going to show what this destruction is going to be by the way of these thermonuclear missiles. And you saw, as we just read, how terrible it's going to be. People's flesh are going to be consumed away. Literally, their eyes, their tongue consumed away in their mouth, their holes. If you thought, what took place back in Hiroshima was bad, where you have, photographs, taken of, people's shadows casted upon walls. Imagine how much more advanced things they have now. Maybe a lesson going to the comparison of these, missiles that they got now, maybe a week or two ago. Ain't nothing to be played with. But that's the point. Is, I came across that video, thought to make a lesson, going to that point. This is what Jake would rather have happen to them, than to be delivered, than to be, saved from this destruction. But that's the point. The Lord's will lesson edifying to close out, give all praise, honor, and glory to how